UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres there. Now, United States Vice President Kamala Harris is visiting Poland and Romania as part of the U.S. response to Russia's assault on Ukraine and part of Ms. Harris's increasingly visible foreign policy role in the President Joe Biden administration. There is more in this report.
The Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, emerged as an international emissary for President Joe Biden, having recently met with multiple heads of state and attended the Munich Security Conference. On Thursday, she met with Poland's President Andrzej Duda, and at a press conference after the meeting, called for an international war crimes investigation into Russia's bombing of civilians in Ukraine.
I am here, standing here on the eastern flank of NATO to reaffirm our commitment, the United States commitment to Poland and our NATO allies. And there is no question that we stand united as it relates to many issues, and the particular issue of Ukraine, and what we are prepared to do to defend all of the principles that are integral to us as NATO countries in terms of fighting for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of, in this case, Ukraine.
Ms. Harris unveiled more financial support for Ukrainian refugees and met with a group, but evaded a question on civilians fleeing the conflict coming to America. She also met with the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who is visiting Warsaw. They both delivered brief remarks at the top of their meeting and did not take questions.
What we can continue to do to coordinate and collaborate within the NATO alliance and with our EU partners in terms of the ongoing needs and the dynamic nature of what we are presented with in terms of this crisis. I know we stand in solidarity in terms of our outrage at this war and the aggression that Russia has taken against Ukraine, unprovoked, unjustified, and we value, of course, the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, and look forward to continuing our partnership in that regard.
The unity that we've shown, I think, has really made a difference. First of all, Vladimir Putin totally underestimated the strength and resolve of the Ukrainian people, but he also underestimated the strength and resolve of democracies to stand up in support of Ukraine, but in support of those values and principles that underlie everything we do. So from crippling sanctions on Putin and his top supporters to unprecedented humanitarian aid to security and military support for Ukrainians who are fighting not just for Ukraine but for all of us, we continue to stand shoulder to shoulder and will continue to. We also have lots of other things to discuss, but obviously the priority that brings us both to Warsaw is our standing with Ukrainians and all Eastern Europeans as we reinforce the eastern flank of NATO and continue to do the work that matters in the world.
Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., President Biden is trying to balance the international situation with pressures on the domestic front. Gas prices are at record highs and inflation has soared 7.9% over the past year, the biggest spike since 1982. Poland and the United States have ramped up security cooperation in the 2 weeks since Russia started its military operation in Ukraine, with the U.S. positioning thousands of troops in the Central European country.
In the United States still, the Senate has passed a $1.5 trillion package to fund the federal government for the current fiscal year after Democrats and Republicans resolved months of wrangling to quickly send aid to Ukraine. The measure was approved 68-31 and now heads to President Biden's desk 1 day before a temporary funding measure was set to expire and set in motion a partial government shutdown. After some pushback throughout Thursday, the Senate struck a time agreement to move quickly on the vote. Members voted on the trial of GOP amendments that included defunding federal vaccine mandates and eliminating earmarks, which were revived in the omnibus after a decade-long ban. All three amendments failed.
If not, on this vote, the yeas are 68, the nays are 31. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this motion, the motion to concur is agreed to.